Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today, I'm going to talk about Chopard. Uh, I was I just got back from the Grand Prix d'Horology de Genève, and I saw a lot of the nominated Chopard watches. They're very nice, and I got a chance to talk to some people who know watches really well. And I asked this one, one of the top watchmakers in the world. I said, "Well, what do you think about Chopard?" He wasn't from Chopard. He said, "Well, they make, they're doing a good job. They have really good movements." And he said they tend to be overlooked, and I think he's right. I overlooked them a lot because early on I was looking at certain watches they were ETA watches, and they seemed to be overpriced for an ETA. However, that is something I think that seems to have changed. In fact, for a high horology watch, and we're going to sort of take the path to Chopard high horology and horology over the moon. So let's get started. I won't waste everybody's time. Now, the first one, there's a watch called the Chopard Grand Prix de Monaco Historique. On the left, that's the one on the left there, the white dial. It's a big watch, 44.5 millimeters, titanium. It's a nice watch, really. It's got an ETA A07.211 in it, which has a base of a 7750, an ETA 7750, which is that in that chronometer and a chronograph, and yeah, it is. But they are also used in non-chronograph movements. So anyway, it's more than your standard what you usually expect in a watch using ETA movement. Now, the one next to it is called the Miglia GTS, and this one I'd always liked that watch, the one on the right with the black dial and red trim to it. Now it has Chopard 01.01-C. It's automatic. It has 28,800 semi-oscillations per hour. It has a 60-hour reserve, and it's chronometer rated. And so to me, that's very important. That's sort of like, okay, so you're stepping up some, and I just like it as a sort of a motorsports watch with that tire tread band on it. Now the MSRP on this one is $6,400, and I found one for $3,450, which I thought was pretty good. On the Grand Prix Monaco Historique, I think they were as low as in the thousands, like under 2,000. But let me say this about not only these two watches, but all Chopard watches. Look and pay attention, okay? The reason for that is that a lot of them say, wow, this is a great one, and it's a great price and just what I want. And then you find out that it's really small, like it's 30 millimeters or something, or it's quartz. And so be sure to check on those things, especially on the pre-owned market. Now, sort of moving up a little is into a very funny place. Here again, you have the Grand Prix de Monaco Historique, but this time you have the Miglia GTXL. Well, they use pretty much, even though the one on the right is an updated version, they changed the name, but they use the same movement. Which makes sense. The ETA Valjoux 7750 is pretty much old standard Warhorse automatic chronograph. Now, this isn't near what we call high horology, or so the kind of thing that you want to find on that. The next group is in what is called the Chopard Classic. And now these watches, the prices varied so widely. I didn't want to say, here I found the cheapest one. you know, you're on your own. Here again, you have to be especially careful about the size. On the left, Chopard Classic, the name doesn't help too much because the one on the right is called the Chopard Classic. What helps, so check out the size of the case. The one on the left, the 36 millimeters, which was bigger than a lot of the other ones. The one on the right is 40, which is the size I tend to prefer more. Both of them are in gold. And it's sort of nice if you want a real gold watch and something that has the hint of high horology. They have ETA movements in it. As a manual wind one, you're probably dealing with an ETA 7001, which is based on the Pazu 7001. And on the automatic would be one of the standard ETA automatics or non-standard ones, because Chopard seemed to have some of that. Here again, look at your prices, check the size. Always check the size of these because some of them are very small. I sort of set the bottom limit for what I could ever want to wear is 36 millimeter, but I have a pretty wide range from something pretty big like my Ovale to something relatively small like my Farbe Luba double, what are they called, double wine. Anyway, double barrels. Anyhow, okay, so here are a couple. This is sort of like, okay, this is sort of going, sort of trickling upward. Now, if you really want to get into what I'll call a certain type of high horology, the reason I say a certain type, the type that I consider to be worthwhile is the movement of a watch. And the LU series, or the LU Chopard, are all with a type of manufactured movement, manufactured by Chopard. There's the stories about, they're really confusing, and I don't know whether they're worth really knowing too much about, but there are different sort of nuances in the movement manufacturing by Chopard. One of the things we're gonna see is a watch that has the the Geneva seal. Okay, now they're saying, wait a minute. I just saw a Chopard with a quality Fleurier. Well, they have enough building of work going on in the Geneva canton to get the Geneva seal. If the watch, they can show that the watch they're presenting was built there, and then they have another one over in Fleurier. So, that's sort of for the solid part of it. Now, for the modern LUC Chopard, I think the entry level is around 11,800. This it's called the LUC XPS. Now, this is the forest green one, and I like this watch a lot. The thing of it is, a lot of watch companies now is that they look like the band is there. My God, why don't they put a more interesting band on there? Well, one of the reasons is that in shipping watches, the band are so restricted that a plain vanilla band usually is the best thing to have. And so you'll see what they have on in their catalog versus what you can, then go out and get a really nice one or one that's more interesting. So you're looking at 11,800 for a brand new MSRP LUC XPS forest green or whatever other color you want. But to me, was one I found. It's a very interesting one. It looks like somebody put a sport watch band on a more of a luxury watch. The one on the right is an older one, and it's called the Chopard LUC Automatic. And the interesting thing about when you see the LUC, those are the initials of somebody, Chopard, the founder of the Louis or Urban, someone like that. But they have dots between the L, after the L and the U, but not after the C. And so when they have even something that says Chopard LUC, they don't have L dot U dot C dot. They just have L dot U dot, then C. C is sort of out there. What I was thinking, this watch for that price, for a white gold watch, 42 millimeter, I can deal with a 42 millimeter without a problem. But I prefer them a little smaller than that. But it's about $4,000. I found this one. Now, what I would do is take a watch like that and take off as much as I like the tire tread band, I just don't see it on a white gold watch with Roman numerals. It's sort of, I'd get a nice formal one in black or some other color that would go with the watch. Anyway, again, it's sort of like both of these, I think, you could find in a high horology context. Now, if you go further in Chopard, this is where you can find some really interesting watches. The one on the left is called the LUC Quattro Spirit 25. It's got a manual wind, which I love. I wish they wouldn't do 4 hertz, but that's okay. They got jumping hours at 6 o'clock, and then around the side they have the minute hand. And at $50,000, so that's a lot. Now this one does have the Geneva seal, and that's sort of a nice thing to have for a watch. It's right now most of them you're going to find in Roger Dubuis has a lot of those, and so does Vacheron Constantin. Basically, it says this is really a good watch and has a set of standards for them. Now, what looks like a jewelry store on the right that somebody pulled out of a pirate's treasure chest is the winner of the jewelry category at the Grand Prix 2024, the one I was just at, 780,000 Swiss francs. It's really something. I saw this watch and was, basically you have these incredible jewels and then you have a clamshell that opens, and this watch is really amazing. A little much for me, not only the price but everything else about it, but boy, it's sure fun to look at. And an interesting watch. Anyway, Chopard is something I think that you might want to take a look at. They have the movements like the LUC 98.6-L, manual wind, 192-hour reserve. This is the kind of watch I think I really like, in ways that I think a lot of people would overlook this brand. They say, well, I'm going to get a Vacheron Constantin or a Patek Philippe or Audemars Piguet. But I certainly wouldn't overlook these guys. You're looking at the high horology. Anyway, I would really like to hear what you have to say. And any comments you have, if you have some experience with a Chopard, I'd like to hear about it, what you think about it. Anyway, until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. And hey, this is an invitation to subscribe if you'd like. Take care.